Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq, Raziallahu anhu says, "When I was done with my trade in Yemen and was getting ready to leave, someone came up to me and said, 'Listen to a few verses I've written in praise of the Prophet.' I replied, 'Sure, let me hear them.' After he shared those verses, I departed for Makkah. As soon as I arrived, I heard that the Prophet ﷺ had openly declared his prophethood. Suddenly, the big leaders of the Quraysh, Uqba bin Abi Mu'ayt, Shaiba, Rabia, Abu Jahl, and Abu Bakhtari, came to me and said, 'O Abu Bakr, Abu Talib's orphan is now claiming he's a prophet. We would have done something already, but we waited for you. Now that you're here, it's up to you to handle him.' They said this because they knew I was close to the Prophet ﷺ. I stayed calm, turned them away respectfully, and then went straight to the Prophet's house. When I reached the door, I knocked, ready to meet him. The Prophet ﷺ came out to meet me. When he saw me, he said, 'O Baba, I have been sent by Allah as a messenger to you and all people, so believe in Allah.' I listened, then asked, 'What proof do you have of this?' The Prophet ﷺ replied, 'The verses that old man recited to you.' I was shocked and asked, 'My friend, how did you know about that?' The Prophet ﷺ answered, 'The great angel who has come to all prophets before me told me.' Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq, Raziallahu anhu, then said, 'Give me your hand. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah and that you are his messenger.' The Prophet ﷺ was overjoyed at my acceptance of Islam. He hugged me tightly. After I recited the kalima, I returned home with a new purpose. As soon as I became Muslim, the first thing I did was to invite others to Islam. I reached out to my friends and called them towards Allah and his messenger. Hazrat Uthman bin Affan, Raziallahu anhu, heard my message and accepted Islam. When Hazrat Uthman's uncle, Hakim, found out, he was furious. He grabbed Hazrat Uthman and shouted, 'You're leaving the religion of your ancestors to follow Muhammad's religion? By Allah, I won't let you go until you leave this new faith.' When Hazrat Uthman Ghani, Raziallahu anhu, heard this, he replied, 'By Allah, I will never leave this religion.' Seeing his determination and firmness, his uncle tried to harm him by making him stand in smoke. But Hazrat Uthman Raziallahu anhu remained strong. There is a hadith that mentions the special status of Hazrat Uthman Raziallahu anhu. The Prophet ﷺ said, 'In paradise, every prophet will have a close friend, and my friend there will be Uthman bin Affan.' Hazrat Abu Bakr Raziallahu anhu continued to spread Islam. Through his efforts, after Hazrat Uthman Raziallahu anhu, Hazrat Zubair bin Awam Raziallahu anhu also accepted Islam. At that time, he was only 8 years old. Similarly, Hazrat Abdur Rahman bin Auf Raziallahu anhu also became Muslim due to Hazrat Abu Bakr's Raziallahu anhu efforts. In the days of ignorance, his name was Abdul Kaaba. The Prophet ﷺ changed his name to Abdur Rahman. Abdur Rahman bin Auf Raziallahu anhu narrates, "Umayyah bin Khalaf was my friend. One day he said to me, 'You've left the name that your father gave you?' I replied, 'Yes, I have.' Hearing this, he said, 'I don't know anyone named Rahman, so I'll call you Abdulillah.' From that day on, the disbelievers began calling me Abdul Ilah." Hazrat Abdur Rahman bin Auf, Raziallahu anhu, shared his story about accepting Islam. "I used to travel to Yemen often. Whenever I was there, I'd stay at the house of Asqalan bin Awakif Himyari. Every time I visited, he'd ask me, 'Has that man, the one everyone is talking about, appeared among your people? Has anyone openly opposed your religion?' And each time, I'd answer, No, no one has appeared yet. But then, the year came when the Prophet ﷺ appeared. I traveled to Yemen, stayed at his house again, and this time he asked me the same question. I told him, yes, he has appeared, and people are opposing him. The Prophet ﷺ once said about Hazrat Abdurrahman bin Auf Raziyallahu anhu, "You are trustworthy among the people on earth, and even among those in the heavens." After Hazrat Abdurrahman bin Auf Raziyallahu anhu accepted Islam, Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq Raziyallahu anhu invited Hazrat Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas Raziyallahu anhu to Islam. Without any hesitation, he went to the Prophet ﷺ and asked, "What is your message?" After hearing it, he accepted Islam immediately. He was only 19 years old at the time. He came from the Banu Zuhra tribe, the same tribe as the Prophet's mother, Hazrat Amna Raziyallahu anha. So Hazrat Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas Raziyallahu anhu was called the Prophet's uncle. The Prophet ﷺ once said with pride, "This is my uncle. Does anyone else have an uncle like him?" When Hazrat Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas accepted Islam, his mother was very upset. He was always so obedient to her, and she said to him, "Don't you understand that Allah has commanded you to be respectful to your elders and treat your parents well?" His mother asked Hazrat Sa'd Raziyallahu anhu. He replied, "Yes, that's exactly what I believe." Hearing this, his mother said, "Then I swear by God, I will not eat until you reject the message that Muhammad ﷺ brought and go back to touching the idols of Isaf and Naila." In those days, the disbelievers would place food and drinks in the open mouths of these idols as offerings. Now, his mother stopped eating. Hazrat Sa'd Raziyallahu anhu said to her, "Mother, I swear by God, if you had 1,000 lives, and each one left you one by one because of this, I would still never leave the religion of the Prophet ﷺ. So it's up to you whether you eat or not." When his mother saw his strong determination, she began eating again. But then she did something else. She went to the door and shouted, "Are there no people here to help me? Who will help me lock up Sa'd in this house until he either dies in captivity or leaves this new religion?" Hazrat Sa'd Raziyallahu anhu heard her and said, "Then I will not even come near this house." He didn't return home for several days. Finally, his mother grew tired and sent him a message. "Come back home. Don't go around being a guest in other people's homes and bring shame upon us." So he went back. Now his family began trying to convince him lovingly, mentioning his brother Amir as an example, saying, "Look how good Amir is. He hasn't abandoned the religion of his ancestors." But soon, his brother Amir also accepted Islam. His mother's anger and frustration only grew stronger.